Okay, for the grocery list, I'm going to start with the essentials. We have ground turkey. You can use ground beef, of course, but I like to substitute ground turkey whenever I can. We have the tortellini themselves. Of course, you can use regular pasta, but if you're able to splurge for the tortellini, I recommend it. The ones that I have at least are stuffed with cheese, but you can get them stuffed with spinach, mushrooms, sausage, all sorts of different good things. For this casserole, I'm sticking with the cheese ones. Then we have shredded Colby Jack cheese. Use whatever shredded cheese you'd like. We have cream cheese and we have pasta sauce. Now, there are some optional bonus items that you can use. The most important one that I really recommend is Italian sausage. I have the hot Italian sausage and it's poultry sausage. Of course, you can use regular pork or whatever you have at the store, but I recommend getting a hot one, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Another bonus that we have is Italian seasoning. Another optional item is minced garlic. And lastly, Parmesan cheese. Again, that's just to put over the casserole when you're finished and you're serving it. Based on where you shopped and which items you ended up choosing, the total for this casserole is approximately $13.85. And with the bonuses, it's approximately $25.44. But keep in mind, the bonus items mostly are items that you would already have in your house, minus the Italian sausage. Now you'll notice that I do a lot of my shopping at Wegmans. I live in New York, we have Wegmans. However, I will never buy anything or make a recipe that contains anything that you can't find at your local grocery store. I don't think that's very fair, and I hate it when I see a recipe and it has some random thing that I don't feel like I'm gonna be able to easily find. So, like I said in my introduction video, I'm trying to keep this reasonable for people who don't have a lot of time and extra money to be cooking. So I'm certainly not going to include any wild ingredients. So these are all things I feel like you can find at your local grocery store. So I just wanted to give that little disclaimer. The very first thing that you're going to want to do is boil some water for the pasta. Now while that is heating up and boiling, the second thing that you can get started on is cooking the ground turkey. Now I just want to talk to you very briefly because I did buy hot Italian sausage. I got the poultry one. It's a little healthier, I guess. This is not a necessity. You don't have to use this. When I make my lasagna, I do half ground turkey and half sausage because I feel like it gives it a lot more flavor, and that's what I'm gonna do for this recipe as well. So I'm only going to put in one of these 4 patties. I don't want it to be overwhelmingly hot. We're mostly working with the ground turkey, but I am gonna put in a little bit of something spicy just to keep it flavorful and interesting. Heat up your pan. I like to put in a little bit of olive oil. You don't need to. Something I like to do when I am cooking meat on the stove. I also prefer wooden utensils when I'm working in these pans. A couple more things that are optional. I know I mentioned it in the ingredients, Italian seasoning. You don't have to if you don't want to, but anytime I'm cooking anything with red sauce, I put some Italian seasoning in with my meat while I'm cooking it. I don't know, it seems like the thing to do, you know? And then the other thing that's optional is some minced garlic. So again, you can put this in the meat while it's cooking, just a little bit. This is almost done. Our water it's not on the burner I usually have it on, so let's move it to a better burner. There, that should get it going. Oh my goodness, after you add in the garlic and the Italian seasoning, oh, it starts to smell so good. bit of a messy cook. All right, I reckon this is pretty much done. Kind of break up some of the chunks that are a bit bigger than I missed. Mind you, if there are a few pieces in here that are a little bit pink, honestly, it's okay because this is gonna get baked anyway, so you're fine, and you don't want to overcook it, you know? So I'm gonna leave it, even though it's a little bit pink. I'm gonna let it be. Okay, so now I'm waiting for my stupid water to boil. Okay, we finally have our water boiling, so we're ready to go ahead and put the tortellini in there. I bought 2 of them because the tortellini is the best part. While we have those softening up, we can go ahead and continue with the meat sauce mixture. I have this on low right now, so it's still cooking a little bit, but not a whole lot. The next thing that we can do is add the cream cheese into the meat and let it start softening up. I went ahead and cut it into little cubes so that it would be easier to break up. So I'm just gonna give that a minute to start softening up. Now remember, while you are putting the cream cheese in the meat mixture, I only have the stove on low for that burner because the meat's cooked and we don't want to overcook it. We're just warming up the cheese. Don't forget about your tortellini. Give it the occasional stir. These are pretty easy. They float, so you're less likely to burn them on the bottom. Okay, once you have your cream cheese pretty well melted and broken up, you can go ahead and add the sauce. Now this is just 99-cent spaghetti sauce. It is nothing fancy. It doesn't have any extra flavoring or meat or anything in it. It's just regular, smooth spaghetti sauce. But you can do whatever you want. You can put in whatever you want. Now, a trick that my mom taught me growing up to get the most out of your jar of sauce that you can, once you've emptied it into your pan, put a little bit of water in the jar. Not a ton, like maybe less than 1/4 cup. Shake it up. And you have even more sauce now than you did before. Now you may be thinking, yeah, but it's thinner. Like, why wouldn't you want nice thick sauce? And you're right, but I notice with any kind of pasta dish, it tends to get a little dry over time anyway. So having a little extra, making it a little bit thinner, to me doesn't hurt. It just keeps it saucy longer. So, and it gets the most bang for your buck with your spaghetti sauce. Be really careful when you're stirring it. I always really push the limits of my pans with this, so just be really cautious. Now naturally, the best part about making your own food is that you get to taste test it along the way and see how it's coming along and if you like it. So let's try a little bit of this meat sauce and see what we think. That is very good. Our tortellini is done, so now we just have to strain it. Of course, be very careful. Now, I don't let my pasta sit for very long. I throw it in the strainer and I pretty much immediately throw it back in the pan. I want my pasta a little wet for the same reason we put water in this sauce jar. I want to keep this casserole as wet as I can because pasta dries out so easily and nobody likes a dry pasta. So there's absolutely no harm in keeping things a little wet. So most of the water is strained out. I'm throwing it right back in the pot. All right, now we want to add our meat cheese mixture in with the pasta. And this is why I wear an apron. Hey, look guys, we have a little friend. A little spider on the stove. Now you need to stir this relatively gently because these tortellinis are very fragile and you don't want to, you know, get them all cut up. All right, now we have our casserole dish. I love casserole dishes that have lids because I don't like using aluminum foil or plastic wrap if I can possibly help it. So having a dish with a lid means that I can store this casserole in the fridge or freezer without having to use plastic wrap or foil. All right, I'm not going to spray the inside of my dish with any nonstick cooking spray. I don't find it very necessary for casseroles that are very wet like this. I think that we're not gonna run into any issues, but feel free if you want to spray yours, whatever you think. All right, in we go. Now, is that not delicious? Spread it around. Okay, now that we have our casserole in the casserole dish, it's the very best part, the cheese. I love Colby Jack, so does Tom, so that's usually my go-to for shredded cheese. So we are just going to sprinkle a whole bunch on top. I love cheese so much that typically when I'm doing something like this, where I'm putting cheese on top of something, I will do more than one. So I also have some shredded Parmesan. It is almost time for us to put this casserole into the oven, but I am coming to you beforehand because I think it's important for you to know that you need to preheat your oven to 350. I should have told you that in the beginning, so here we are. So honestly, I don't exactly have a time frame for this casserole. I pretty much just put it in there and check it, and when the cheese is melted, I take it out. You're not really cooking anything here because the meat's cooked and everything, the pasta's cooked, so you're just warming it up, really, more or less. So when the cheese is melted, I take it out, and that's that. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I really hope that you enjoyed your cheesy baked tortellini casserole. I know that we're going to enjoy it. All right, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.